So some very quick comments based on the perspective of me working as a geneticist on delivery of gene editing in aquaculture, working in a commercial company based in the US, delivering genome editing into aquaculture technologies. The technology is ready to be used. It's ready for use in agriculture and aquaculture. We see a favorable direction of travel in many countries. Australia probably leading in terms of their position with open regulation towards genome editing, as long as it's indistinguishable from mutations that we have by natural means. And we already see gene edited products, fish in Japan, as Diego has mentioned. CAT is a company aiming to develop commercial genome editing. We have a range of technologies available in our business. Let me just covering health, nutrition, breeding, genotyping, genomics, and gene editing, and aim to supply technology for people to apply these technologies, including genome editing, into their breeding programs. We are strongly of the opinion that aquatic species that are being genome edited for commercial production should be 100% sterile. Production fish in aquaculture are relatively wild, and most fish farming takes place in a near a wild environment. The species are able to interact and interbreed with native species nearby, and we think it's responsible. We were adding major genetic changes to the populations and fertile animals that would allow them to spread into wild populations. The sterility by genome editing allows us to contain the edited sequences within our population. I think it also easier to write.
Alan, we can't hear you well. Is it maybe your microphone? Yeah.
I'm sorry if it is.
Yes.
Just start.
This is better.
That's better. Okay. Let me put it closer to my mouth. I apologize. The regulatory burden is easier in sterile animals, and it protects the commercial investment in new genetics. So we see the first genome edited fish likely to be in a sterile background, possibly with functional edits to improve other commercial performance traits. This involves making a series of edits, generating potentially monosex sterile donor fish, carrying gene edits, and creating sterile surrogate lines, also gene edited, and then transplanting the germ cells from the donors into the surrogates at scale, producing multiplier populations when they mature are fertile, but are capable of producing sterile offspring. And that technology is described by several authors and is subject to a patent protection. So in terms of where we're going, I think to answer one of the questions raised in the chat room earlier on, we see gene editing as being an add-on to breeding programs that already exist. The technologies for running breeding programs are now fairly straightforward and simple, and can be applied to most breeding structures in most populations. And the disciplines and organization that you need in a breeding program are the same disciplines and organization that you need to manage a genome editing program. So I would see the incorporation of breeding programs first, and then genome edited technology being added into that. The technology as such is sustainable and allows us to improve the economic production of our animals. We can bring in edits for commercial production traits, growth, yield, those sorts of traits, and that gives us economic sustainability, where we produce more food with less inputs, and it gives us an ecological sustainability, where we're protecting the biodiversity of our populations. I think I'll address a labeling point that came to me as I was listening to the previous speaker. I think there is an issue about asking consumers if they want food labeled. Consumers are very interested in labeling things so that they know what is happening. But I think if consumers are educated about how food is produced, then they become less sensitive to the labeling and assume that the technologies that are being used are safe and managed by the within the production process. So in summary, as I see CAT, the company I work for, sees gene editing coming over the horizon. Legislation is moving towards acceptance of this technology in many countries. Society is accepting the technology in terms of its benefits in sustainability, both ecological and economic. And the technology hurdles have mostly been overcome, and we're now moving into a stage where we can scale the technology and bring about genome editing in a controlled and organized way to produce better performing animals with better health and welfare using genome editing. We stop there. I hope I'm just over time.